Eternal Darkness is a good game, and I am not saying that as a nostalgic fan who loved it when it came out in 2002. This is coming from some chuckle who's never played it until this year. So if you like survival horror games, what are you doing here? Go download this and play it. I'll be here when you're done. Now, why you have to do it that way is a topic for later in the video. But if you didn't stop watching and you are actually still interested in playing this game, don't worry, I won't get into any real spoilers. Just looking at Eternal Darkness, I know it has a "we have Silent Hill at home" vibes to it, since it was a GameCube exclusive, and I know it's easy to look at the last two games Silicon Knights produced before they closed, and honestly doubt if the same devs could make anything good. But it is good, and it's good because of a few very specific reasons, and the biggest thing that makes it so good is unpredictability.
Deep into that darkness.
Oh, that was a wait, no, I'm still very injured. Like comedy, horror relies on a level of unpredictability. If you know the punchline, the joke isn't as funny. If the punchline doesn't match the setup, it's probably also not funny. The same principles apply in horror. If you know a loud noise and a sudden zoom is coming, it's probably not going to startle you. Eternal Darkness uses unpredictability in a number of ways to make sure you are always just a bit unsure about something. You play multiple characters, each with varying amounts of health, and get winded after different amounts of time running. You get multiple weapons with no real stats on them, and some of them have beneficial effects against certain enemies that require info that you get somewhere else in the game, or experimenting. The sanity effects, arguably the game's most iconic feature, range from fake crashes to falling through the floor to your body just falling apart. The range of those sanity effects is surprisingly varied, and I know I didn't even see all of them. But sheer unpredictability feels unfair and unfun. There has to be some sort of balance in what you're expecting and what you're not expecting. So it uses consistency to keep the player grounded in the game. Pretty much every aspect of Eternal Darkness that I can praise, I can use its magic system to give an example of why it's good, even though there's multiple reasons why each of these things are good. Spells cost the same amount of mana no matter which character is casting them, and the spells always have the same effect. You have access to all previous spells any character cast, and when casting spells, as long as you have the runes right, the spells will work correctly. Oops. Even if you don't know what the effect is, it's still working as it should, and you have to figure it out or find the documentation explaining what that spell does. So it's a balancing act of elements that keep you grounded enough so you never feel like your actions are random, while changing details and character-specific encounters. And it's brilliant, but it's not a perfect game. Your spells eventually become very powerful and use more mana, so it's always good to buff yourself with armor, health regen, and enchant your weapon every time they run out. But those spells cost mana, and mana refills whenever you're moving around the level, which includes running in circles in a safe area. And since there's no downside to waiting other than feeling like you are wasting the limited currency of time we all have in this mortal plane, it's always best to run in circles and wait for your mana to refill and cast everything all at once, even if it becomes tedious. Okay, back on the positive side, something Eternal Darkness does really well is provide hope. Hope is a critical dichotomy of horror, since without a chance to escape the dread, there's nothing to be scared of. You just accept it, get used to it. It becomes mundane. Then you probably die. And again, Eternal Darkness succeeds in this in many ways, but how does it succeed with it? In magic. To cast a spell, you need to combine at least 3 runes, one being the god from which you're getting power from, and the other 2 are effects. Effects can include things like summon, area, or enchant. The 2 effects together create a spell, and the rune of the god you use imbues it with strength. So mixing runes like enchant and item on your weapon enchants it and makes it more powerful. but you have to cast it in real time. And if you get hit or move while you're casting the spell, you botch it, losing the mana and gaining no effects from it. While you can cast some spells while you're safe, others you have to do mid-combat when you need to heal or the effects wear off. All spells start with needing 3 runes, but you increase the power and potency of the spell by making it 5 or even 7 runes long, once you unlock those abilities. But since you cast the spells in real time, it takes longer to complete the spell the more runes it has. So you have a choice. How powerful do you make the spell? Do you think you can run to the other side of the room and cast a 7-rune enchant weapon spell before the enemy catches up to you? Or will it hit you with a ranged attack and botch your spell that way? There are like 1,000 small moments and elements throughout the game that blend together and make it so any situation isn't really about the right choice. It's about weighing your levels of risk. There's always a chance it'll work, and there's always a chance it'll fail. So yeah, it's freaking awesome, but if it's so good, why is it considered a cult classic and not remembered as an iconic survival horror game of its time? Personally, I think part of it is that there's no iconic moment that all players latch onto, especially in the early game. Like, the first few meetings of Pyramid Head in Silent Hill 2 are breathtaking, and like, everybody who played the game remembers those and how they made them feel. The boss fights like the giant snake, and the aha moments from unlocking shortcuts in the Spencer Mansion are nearly universal experiences for Resident Evil players. Eternal Darkness draws from a lot of good influences, but often lacks anything that really stands out on its own. Your main antagonist, Roman Skeletor, isn't a unique design. The fact that I could call him Roman Skeletor and you probably instantly pictured him with about 80% accuracy, even if you hadn't seen him before, is kind of evidence of that. The game also changes based on which of the 3 gods you pick, so player experiences throughout the game and the endings will be different a bit depending on what they chose. And that said, I like that the game changes based on the god you pick. But, it has the side effect of changing the game. Subtle as the changes may be, it still creates less universal experiences to share. That's probably why the sanity effects are one of the most lasting impressions. It's something every player experienced. The levels are fun and mostly intuitive. The puzzles build on each other while introducing new gimmicks and set pieces. The difficulty has a steady rise while not becoming complacent. There's just a lot of details that make it great that I can't explain, or it would ruin the experience of playing it, which might also be part of the problem with this game not getting as wide of appeal. And I could say more about it, but I'm ADD, so despite those hour-long reviews being the meta for YouTube algorithms at the moment, I do not have the attention span to make one of those. I sometimes watch them, but I only do if the creator who made them has shown they can keep my attention with shorter videos first. And I don't think I've earned that from you yet. The other reason, and probably part of the reason it's a cult classic and not a smash hit, is I don't want to. I don't want to spoil the puzzles. I want the range of levels to be a surprise. The unpredictable is one of its greatest aspects. The appeal doesn't come from iconic moments like seeing Pyramid Head or that zombie's head turn. It comes from the details, the minutia, the layers, the structure, the surprises. It's the hardest to sell because it's worth your time, but it's also worth not explaining, which it seems kind of counterintuitive. If you have any interest in survival horror games, modern or old, it's absolutely worth playing any way you can, so get yourself a copy. Trying to play Eternal Darkness is a chore. Game preservation is in a devastatingly bad place. A game as good as Eternal Darkness, which you should play. At time of writing, it is only playable in 2 scenarios. Emulation, which requires knowledge of emulators, where to get them and how to use them, or legacy hardware, which is not a short list. or a cheap one. It requires a physical copy of the game, which are going for a hot dollar, a working Nintendo GameCube or Wii, an old CRT or an HDMI adapter, so you can play it on a modern TV, a GameCube controller, and a GameCube memory card. And while not all of those pieces are as pricey as the game, that's just too much hardware for an average player to buy or even just keep in storage. So get yourself a copy, any way you can. Pargon to the people.